live from Times Square, and we're talking about the craziest things that we've seen on the job.
When you think of bright lights, big city, this is quintessential. This is what you think of.
Like residential life in the city as opposed to showbiz and the glitz and the glam.
Yeah. It's like a lot of people are resistant, a lot of New Yorkers, like, Times Square. And there have been a number of incidents in our business behind the scenes. There was a pigeon in the apartment because somebody had left the window cracked. People having sex in the foyer, in the vestibule of the building, and also doing drugs.
Oh my God. Literally the worst possible
Right?
thing.
Right.
You know, you just...
Could happen at that moment.
But there's also a lot of just comical things that happen. Back with episode 3 of Somewhere in New York.
Somewhere in New York.
Live from Times Square. I'm Taylor Derland alongside Joseph Pullen, and we're talking about the craziest things that we've seen on the job.
Before we do that, because you just made me think of something.
Oh boy.
No, it's like Times Square, back in Times Square, because
Yeah.
I don't think you answered that question. I think it's interesting that, you know, you're rarely in Times Square except for going to theater or something. And it's not that I'm in this pocket of the city a lot, but it's something I did want to comment on is...
Sure.
No, it's like a lot of people are resistant, a lot of New Yorkers,
Yeah.
like, Times Square. And I'm a little bit the opposite. It's not that I'm here a lot, but when I am here, even this has its own identity and energy, and that, you know, when you think of bright lights, big city, this is quintessential. This is what you think of. This or 6th Avenue, right? You think of the ball dropping. You think of the lights, all the, you know, all the billboards lit up in Times Square, all the people, you know, and the tourists, and it's like, get out of my way when you're trying to move. But even that is part of the vibrancy of the city. That's it. That's one to add that.
And those are all the things that all the reasons why I don't come to Times
Exactly.
Square.
And most people. It's true. I get it.
But I do understand why Times Square has that resonance for you. My vision, even before I landed in the city, of the city was not that.
Mm-hmm.
It was Flatiron, in the Flatiron building, more life, like residential life in the city, as opposed to showbiz and the glitz and the glam.
Yeah. Yes.
I was always very fascinated with just building a life in New York, in an urban environment.
Right.
That felt more connected than where I grew up.
Right. Yeah. And you're right. And it's not just like the glitz. It is, again, quintessential New York. It's a place that, you know, and it's Broadway. Speaking of Flatiron, we have to visit. Iconic Flatiron building is being converted to condominium.
I know.
Yeah. And we need to check that out because we make a habit of checking out and being aware of what's new out there. So.
Are you buying time before you have to divulge the
No, I
craziest
wasn't.
stories?
Sorry, I did, you know, sidetrack us, but it's something you mentioned that was just on my mind. Yeah.
We touched on this a little bit before, but the real estate is humbling for a number of reasons.
Yes.
A, because you can't outsource a lot.
Right.
In the age of AI,
Right.
The human, you know, a robot can't yet, or is not set up yet to open the door and give showings.
A tour. And yeah. Yep.
And be able to respond fluently about comps and you know all these things, right? There's an art to it as well. But that also means that even if you're selling a $20 million listing and you're walking in there, maybe you think like it should just be ready for me. You know, I'm here. I'm the star.
Right. People don't know what we do behind the scenes.
People don't care.
Right.
Like it is your job to do whatever you need to do.
Right.
To sell something. That is your sole
That's right.
job.
And to present it in any listing that we represent in its best light. Yeah.
So if that means that you need to zhuzh it up a little bit.
Pick up dog poop off
But
a terrace.
and you know, then you do it.
Or pigeon poop off a balcony, which is something we've been doing. Yeah.
You've been doing. I draw the line somewhere.
Right.
That's not in my contract. Yeah.
Right.
So, anyway. Well, any other crazy stories that you've encountered?
We didn't really elaborate, but the first thing that comes to mind, besides the dog poop, really one of my best stories, I think, was there was a listing on the Upper West Side. It was winter. cold, and I was running late for a showing, and it was a non-doorman building.
We sell those?
Joseph. Taylor's such a snob. No, but for the record,
we sell everything.
We do sell everything, the whole range, because people often think that we only do high-end upscale, and that's not true. Every broker, real estate is real estate, and we love what we do.
It's a great reminder. I think that's the tension though with brokers, is that to get on the table to sell a $25 million co-op on the Upper East Side, there's an assumption that you need to exude a certain brand, and I think to some extent you do. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that has to be exclusive of all kinds of real estate, whether it's a $500,000 studio,
right, or a $450,000 walk-up in the West Village.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And you're right, real estate is real estate, and I think the best brokers are those that have range.
That's right,
and are okay about that.
As you should be. I mean, and it's because it's all fun. It's all. I mean, it can be very stressful too. But I mean, every deal, even though I did say every deal is different, there is a through line, consistency, and part of it is you still do a lot of the same things, whether it's a uber expensive listing, a high end listing, or something less, like under $500,000. Yeah, which is
there are core elements. There's a lot that is different. Let's be honest about that when you're running a $15 million transaction. There's just not only is there more at stake, but typically the transaction is more complex.
Right.
There could be more complex financing mechanisms that are at play.
You're right.
That are factoring into the negotiation process. Typically a lot more is negotiable because you have a lot more to play with, right?
Especially in a buyer's market.
So there are some differences, but you're right. There's the core practice and approach is the same.
Yeah.
And then there are quite a bit of add-ons as you move up the scale.
Yeah.
But back to the Upper West Side.
Okay, so Upper West Side. So I was running late for a showing. I had these people waiting. I got to the apartment, and as you know, and I think any good broker, you want to first go in. You don't just want to walk in blindly to a space. In particular, I remember the sellers were no longer living there, so you want to make sure it's presentable, and there are like no dead bodies in the apartment or whatever. So I got there. I said, give me a sec. I left them outside in the cold. Let me just run up and turn on lights and make it more presentable. And I heard this.
So much for client service.
Yeah, right? But I heard this fluttering, and I realized there was a pigeon in the apartment because somebody had left the window cracked. And this is, I think, a 6th-floor unit. So I spent probably a good 10 minutes trying to get this pigeon out of the apartment without harming it. And it kept like crashing into the glass, and it stunned itself. And meanwhile, these potential prospective buyers were outside buzzing me, and I was ignoring their buzz because I was trying to get this pigeon out.
What is going on up there?
So I finally managed to scoop it up because it was a little bit comatose. Scoop it up, and thank God I put it on the ledge because it was stunned. And if I had just thrown it out the window, it probably would have crashed to its death. But and then I went down. I remember I was sweating, and I went down to greet these buyers. I said, "I'm so sorry. I got a call, an emergency call from a client. I couldn't admit that there was a bird in the apartment."
Right.
So that was one of my. I mean, and there have been a number of incidents in our business behind the scenes, things that we do. Yeah. Right? And I always cite back, and if you're familiar with American Beauty, the movie with Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening, was a great movie where she's a realtor, and she's at an open house, and she's in her slip and those yellow dish gloves, and she's vacuuming the house before the open house. She's like, "I will sell this house today. I will sell this house today." That's her mantra. But that's our experience oftentimes. Have you had any of those yet?
I have.
Yeah.
And I think you know this story. We had a listing in Chelsea, really beautiful 4-bedroom condo. This was the second showing. This family came back.
Was this the one that showed up with the Secret Service?
No, not
Oh,
that one.
okay.
Different one.
All right, that was a good one. Can't name those names.
Yeah, that was more just an interesting showing.
Yes.
You know,
okay.
there wasn't any other than the detail.
Okay.
The Secret Service detail.
Yeah,
there wasn't
yeah.
anything notable about that.
Yeah.
And by the way, discretion is a very big part of our
Yes.
business, and
100%.
we take that pretty
Seriously.
seriously.
Mhm.
But there's also a lot of just comical things that happen, and one of them was, this was the second showing. It ended up running about an hour and a half because they came in, they were looking around, they asked to order DoorDash, have a meal, family meal. The daughter needed to take a work call.
But this
She
is
asked
the
if she could-
broker, the buyer's broker,
Yes.
who came in and wanted to do well. I remember
Yes.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. She came in, her blood sugar was very low. She was asking for a soda. And in my mind, I'm like, well, this isn't a restaurant.
Right.
You know,
right.
luckily there was happened to be a soda from an old open house that we had in the the fridge. And so
in the Sub-Zero.
yeah, exactly. In the Viking.
Yeah.
In the Viking. And so, of course, you know, it's a great example of, in the moment, there was definitely a part of me that was like, okay, this is, yes, take your time. Like, let's talk about the
Get a
property
feel for the
itself, you know,
space.
do everything you need to do.
Yeah.
Make yourselves at home, but not that at home.
Right.
You know, like
Those are
within
some ridiculous requests.
within limits. So
yeah.
I would end up sitting in the corner in the dining room, kind of observing this all happening, and I could like hear the daughter taking a work call for the tech company that she worked for in the office.
Right.
And then
this is just a showing.
This is just showing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I did say, she asked me if they could order food, and I was like, yeah, you can, but you can't eat it inside.
Right.
Like, we have this staged. It's very
Yeah.
expensive staging. Like, you have to
Yes.
go
It's
on
crazy.
the incredibly beautiful terrace. So
Right.
no.
Right.
Hopefully that does it for you. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
imagine your life there. But it's one of those things that, you kind of have to suck up your pride a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think there's a healthy amount of humbling that happens because it does, like, you're there to do one job and to
sell it.
Yeah. And create a positive experience such that they can imagine their life there. And sometimes that means having a meal or taking a work
so
call.
Funny. Yeah, and allowing for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and being flexible. And those people, I think they made an offer.
They did.
Yeah, it was a lowball offer that we negotiated, but then we got another offer. So yeah. Yes.
Yeah. You know, even though maybe my first impulse would have been to like be a dick about it, that's not who I am, and that's not that's not what you do.
Right.
And especially if you're leading with integrity.
Yeah.
Which you do, and that's one of the best ways to stand out.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of people who don't have it.
Yeah.
So, you know, you smile and say, of course.
Yeah.
But just not inside.
Right. Because you have to protect the property.
Protect the space.
Yeah.
You're a steward of the property, and it's a lot of trust that clients place in you.
Absolutely.
Especially if they're not, if they're living there and if they're not living there and don't have eyes on it very quickly, you know, you're protecting that space as people are coming in and out. So.
I was thinking about that as you and I previewed a really beautiful townhouse recently. And I was thinking about that because there is so much trust involved, right? When you're looking through someone's home, which is very, very personal, or you're in someone's home, and you have to, if you're a listing broker, if we're on that side, then you have to be you still have to be diligent, right? And aware. But at the same time, there's a level of trust too, and you're kind of reading who these people, but you never know.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we haven't encountered any incidents yet, but I've certainly heard those broker stories of things missing. I remember, in fact, we had a Sutton Place listing, I remember in the last year, and when I went to show, I saw the seller's really expensive watch collection sitting on the dresser in the bedroom, and I just took them and put them in the drawer. But still, one never knows, right? So
there's a ton of trust.
Kind
of in all ways. Yeah. Any other stories come to mind? Those the top two?
Yeah, there's so many. I'll just start one really quickly. It was showing something over the last year that had outdoor space, and it was during the summer when the city was kind of inundated with these lantern flies. And I remember,
Which we're supposed to. The latest directive
What?
is to kill them, right?
Yeah,
Because
but,
they're an invasive species.
yeah, but I can't.
Okay.
I'm just not that
Friend
person.
of PETA.
I am afraid. Yeah, even at
Despite the pigeon story, which is borderline, I don't- they might have a couple
totally
things to say about
different.
that. But otherwise, yes.
I was desperate in the moment.
Yeah.
But I am. It's funny because when we're outside the city and there's a bug in the house, I'm that person who tries to capture it and put it outside without killing it. Anyway, what's my lanternflies? And I was showing, and there were lanternflies all over the outdoor space, and it's like, oh shit, it was just like. And I remember big one landed on the back of the prospective buyer. And I watched it crawling on this guy's back. And I just casually went up and I escorting him back into the apartment. I just brushed it off his back ever so discreetly. But, it's just, it was a little moment, but things like that. Yeah.
You have to tell the story about the final walkthrough in Chelsea and the quintessential lifelong New Yorker who meets this family purchasing for their daughter in the lobby and proceeds to explain to them the issues that they've been having in their lobby.
I don't remember.
In Chelsea.
Okay, keep going.
Oh, so now I'm going to have to tell this story.
Or maybe, because I really don't remember what you're referring to.
You're gonna remember it in 2 seconds.
Okay.
So you were doing the walkthrough, and you came across a woman that's been in this small co-op building. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one because we had buyers that came referred to us, right? And they were out of
state.
They were out of state buyers, but the setup here is important because they were buying a pied-à-terre.
Yes.
For their very young daughter who was in college.
Yeah.
But they were buying a pretty nice apartment in a boutique non-doorman building.
Right.
In on a beautiful tree-lined street in Chelsea.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. And we had already walked away from another deal. So this was our second one that they had opted to move forward on, and we were doing the walkthrough and we were wrapping the walkthrough and ran into another resident who proceeded to tell it was the parents, out-of-state parents, their daughter, and the brokers who represent the selling brokers, the listing brokers. And in the conversation, this resident told us about they had issues of people having sex in the foyer, in the vestibule of the building, and also doing drugs. But she didn't just say drugs, she said crack cocaine.
Oh my God. Literally the worst possible thing.
Right.
You just
could happen at that moment. To refer, and what was funny is that she was so specific. She wasn't people smoking pot in the lobby. She said crack cocaine, which it's what is this, the 1980s? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But what's funny is nobody flinched.
Yeah.
And, when the listing brokers and myself, had a little side moment, we're like, can you believe that?
Yeah.
But she also redeemed herself, this other resident, by saying that she knew she would look out for their daughter, blah, blah, blah. And it really was a special
building. Those are special moments, but that's also such a crucial moment.
Yeah. Because we're all
people are getting ready to sign on the dotted line, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good place to wrap up episode 3 of Somewhere in New York
3?
with that quintessential. Yeah. Right, we're 3 of 3.
Okay.
So maybe by now we have 3 listeners.
Right.
Your partner.
Right.
My mom. Maybe one of my brothers.
Yeah.
If we're lucky.
Yeah.
So until next time, and Somewhere in New York.